So, Dr. J, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. So, I know you and some of your team members went to Obesity Week this week. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Obesity Week is the annual meeting of the Obesity Society.
Mhm.
This is a scientific meeting that brings together healthcare professionals, researchers, clinicians, and other individuals who are not only involved in the care of obesity,
Mhm.
but who are also looking at the consequences of obesity and how it impacts overall health and the comorbidities associated with obesity. So, for example, we have researchers who are focused on addressing the physiological changes that happen in individuals who are
Mhm.
obese, but also we have physicians who are specialists in liver disease, heart disease, kidney disease, because obesity impacts all of those
Yeah.
conditions. And so this year we have 4,500 individuals attending this conference,
Yeah.
and it's a whole week of presentations, discussions, and it's very invigorating for all of us. And so um, the meeting is happening as we speak.
That's great. I know obesity, especially now, has become such an issue in the US and all around the world. So, it's wonderful your team has been able to partake in that. What would you say some of the highlights were of Obesity Week?
The first thing is that there is a general recognition and growing recognition that obesity is a chronic disease that requires long-term solutions, both not only just pharmaceutical pharmacotherapy, but also nutrition and lifestyle interventions are critical. So it's a comprehensive approach. So that is a different mindset.
Mhm.
But also one of the key things that is exciting to hear this year is about the consequences of obesity when we think about metabolic health.
Okay.
And more physicians and researchers are talking about the consequences of um, how obesity disrupts metabolic health. And that's been the main focus so far at the conference.
Wow, that's really interesting because we're hearing that word and that term more and more. So it seems that it's trickling down into your world as well.
Correct. It's looking at metabolic health from all of the different organs in the
Hmm.
body and how that disrupts
Yeah.
overall health and well-being.
So you have been doing what you're doing for a long time. So how has Obesity Week changed since you've first been involved in the field? And what do you think that means for our mission?
Over the years, as an obesity researcher or a clinician, we were
Hmm.
mainly focused on weight loss,
Okay.
looking at how, whether it's nutrition and lifestyle or pharmacotherapy or surgery, how we can help individuals lose the weight. But now we are looking beyond just the weight loss.
Hmm.
Not only are we looking at the quality of the weight loss, but we also are looking at the consequences, how we can then help address the health aspects of it. So
Yeah.
this is where this is the exciting part, because as people lose weight and it's more healthy quality weight loss, we are seeing an impact on risk reduction as it relates to other chronic health conditions. And this is the interplay between obesity and other chronic health conditions that we see as we age.
Hmm.
And it's also addressing it across the lifespan. So it's not just the adult condition. It's because obesity unfortunately impacts even children. We
Right.
are looking at it across the lifespan and how we can help individuals improve their overall health.
So thank you so much for sharing. That's very insightful. So can you share what our poster presentation is about and why it's so exciting?
So this year, my team, the Scientific and Clinical Affairs team, had two poster presentations at Obesity Week. The first poster was looking at the role of weight loss medications, the GLP-1 receptor agonists, and how they impact not only the weight loss, but how effective that weight loss is, and the duration of that weight loss, and what we see with regards to weight loss plateau, and how that in turn correlates with what people are doing in terms of the energy intake. Because it's important to recognize that these medications are very effective,
Hmm.
but people do reach a plateau.
Yes.
And so we have to be thinking about how we can help individuals uh, learn about how they can overcome that plateau through nutritional lifestyle modifications, but also how they need to adjust their energy intake to not only minimize that plateau, but also when they come off the medications, how to help maintain that weight loss. So that was one of the posters. The second poster that my team is presenting is looking at the relationship between quality sleep and its relationship to metabolic health.
Mhm.
So, where we looked at the quality of an individual's sleep and how it predicts either positive outcomes as it relates to metabolic health or negative outcomes. So, when people have poor quality sleep, what we found is that they are at greater risk of poor metabolic health.
Thank you for sharing. That makes so much sense. I know for myself, when I do not get at least like 6.5, 7 hours of sleep, I am completely messed up for the rest of my day. So I can totally understand how, if that's a consistent pattern with you, that it affects your metabolic health.
Yeah. And the key part of what you just said, Liz, is that it's not just the duration, it's the quality.
Yes.
The quality is so important. People may be sleeping long, but they're not getting that quality full spectrum sleep.
Yep.
And that's where the relationship and sleep is a very important healthy habit
Mhm.
that we need to continue to talk, because we know from the CDC data that more and more Americans are getting less than 4 hours of quality sleep.
Wow, less than 4 hours. What inspired your team to explore long term outcomes of GLP-1 medications?
GLP-1 medications are a great tool in our toolbox of
Mhm.
obesity care, but we also know that it is a tool, and a comprehensive approach is important,
Yeah.
because we have to help individuals not only learn
Mhm.
how to manage their overall health and well-being through nutrition and lifestyle, because that's an important aspect to help support that effectiveness of that weight loss that we're seeing with the medications. And so, as we are thinking about our comprehensive approach to metabolic health, it's really important to understand how the medications can, how we can help individuals who are taking the medications be more effective in
Mhm.
managing their overall health. And so that was where we knew that from earlier research that people's quality of nutritional intake was being compromised while they were on the medications, because they are not being educated about what changes they need to make to their nutrition or to their lifestyle. And so that's what sparked the interest to look at, how can we help them by understanding what is going on while they're on the medications. And so that's why we looked into what is the impact on energy intake. What are they doing? Are they really decreasing the energy intake, or are they doing something different? And not only during the weight loss phase, but also during the weight maintenance phase, because they need the tools to help them maintain that weight
Yep.
loss.
Of those results, what surprised you the most?
The two things. One is the weight loss plateau, that although the medications are very effective, people achieve a plateau in their weight loss. So it's not, so you have to work at it. It's not something that you can just take the medications and then think everything is fixed. It's
Yeah.
an ongoing journey. So that's
Yes.
one thing. The other thing that we saw was with the weight loss medications, people do decrease their energy intake, because
Mhm.
that's one of the mechanisms of action, that appetite decreases. And so people don't feel as hungry, and they
Yep.
do decrease their energy intake, the total calorie intake. But what we also saw is that that happens in the first 4 weeks on the average.
Mhm.
And after that, that energy intake slowly goes back to baseline.
Yep.
And so they're adapting to the
Okay.
medications. And so we have to help educate them as to how to manage and how to balance the energy intake, so that they can not only achieve the weight loss, but also then maintain that weight loss.
Gotcha. Yeah, so what it sounds like you're saying is it's way more than just taking the shot and going on about your day.
Correct. We have to be very intentional,
Yes.
both from a nutrition perspective, but also from a lifestyle behavior perspective. And so that's where being intentional in terms of the physical activity, paying
Mhm.
attention to sleep, and all of those healthy habits are important to help not only achieve the weight loss goals, but also the health
Yep,
goals.
exactly like sleep. You can be losing all the weight, but you're not sleeping, and then that can throw everything else off and
Correct.
can really affect you in the long term. So going back to sleep, and we touched on this briefly, but what is the connection between sleep and metabolic health that people might not realize?
We are learning a lot
Yeah.
about the relationship between sleep and metabolic health. But what we do understand right now from the science that's available and even our own work is that sleep does just disrupt some of the hormonal regulation that
Mhm.
happens. And with that disruption of the hormonal regulation, what that means is essentially it disrupts how your blood glucose levels are managed, how your blood lipid or your blood cholesterol levels are managed, which in turn then increases the risk of dysfunction, metabolic dysfunction. And so that's where, again, we're trying to understand more as to what's happening behind the scenes
Yeah.
when we think about why poor sleep quality and what its role is in terms of disrupting those metabolic processes.
That's all great information, but what I want to know is what practical takeaway could someone apply from their research, from this research in their own life? Like, how can they put this into action?
Yeah, very simple. First, paying attention to getting the quality sleep.
Yes.
And so simple things like, putting away social media, shutting down, not scrolling while
Yeah.
in bed, simple things like that, meditation,
Yeah.
those kinds of things, or not eating just before going to bed. Those are all simple things we can start take that we need to pay attention to,
Yeah.
that we take for granted, so that we can help support our body achieve that balance in terms of achieving quality sleep. And then, some of these take practice, and
Yes.
some of these you have to be intentional
Mhm.
in order for them to slowly become a habit.
Yeah. That is wonderful advice. I recently tried to avoid looking at my phone around like 8:39 and I pick up a book instead and I've noticed I've fallen asleep so much quicker and I am in a deeper sleep.
Sleep.
So, I think that is a great start and meditating as well to really just keep yourself grounded and focused is an amazing tip too. So, thank you for sharing. Okay, so going back to the posters, how do they together help advance the conversation about metabolic health?
So the work we are doing, that we have been doing for a while, and that will continue to, is to continue to explore the relationship between nutrition and lifestyle, and how all of those have to work in conjunction to support metabolic health. So, the sleep poster and even the weight loss plateau poster that we presented this week at Obesity Week are trying to understand that interrelationship between nutrition and lifestyle, not only from as I mentioned, hormonal balance is one aspect of it, but there are other metabolic processes that are disrupted. So, for example, how we utilize different energy sources in the body are impacted. How efficient our body is in terms of converting the energy that we consume into more act to support the function of the muscle, for example. Those are all disrupted. So,
Yeah.
if you don't get good quality sleep, some of those metabolic processes, biochemical processes that are happening in the body
Mhm.
get broken down. And so and then when we think about healthy habits, we're trying to understand the relationship between the healthy habits and the macro habits that we focus on, and the association with overall metabolic health. So I obviously this time we focused on sleep, but that we know mental health is very important,
Yeah.
because stress can contribute to an increase in certain hormones like cortisol,
Mhm.
which can contribute to metabolic dysfunction. And so understanding the interplay between all of these habits is important, because then once we understand that relationship, we can help reverse metabolic dysfunction.
Wow, it sounds like you and your team put in so much effort and work on all of these revelations, and you learned so much. So I want to ask, do you think what you learned from Obesity Week and everything you put together will influence your work moving forward?
It definitely gives us a great starting point and
Yeah.
a continued effort to evolve our understanding of the relationship between nutrition and lifestyle factors. And science is always is a journey, right? And we are investing in that science to
Yeah.
better enhance what we have to offer, and be a comprehensive system to help reverse that metabolic dysfunction. And so it's an ongoing journey for us.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like it never ends, but you're in a great pattern and everything looks amazing. So, when typically at a conference there will be themes or something you keep hearing. So, from everything you've seen at Obesity Week, is there one like buzzword or trendy term that kept coming up for you?
Definitely metabolic health.
Yeah.
Metabolic health is a big, big focus. Again, because obesity is being recognized as a chronic disease, and it is something that you have to. It's not something that happens overnight. It
Mhm.
happens over course of many months, years, decades. And if we can catch it early on, we can help prevent the progression of certain chronic conditions and help improve the quality of an individual's health
Yeah.
and life.
So, what you're saying is we will be seeing a lot more of metabolic health,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.